public servant. Well, I'm joined now by Professor Laura Allen-Smith, who's a presidential historian and also assistant teaching professor at Arizona State University. Hello, Professor, and welcome.
Good evening.
Hello, welcome to the programme. Just thinking now about what's going to happen next and some of the protocols we can expect over the next few days up until the state funeral. What will be in planning and scheduled in terms of presidential protocol?
Well, we saw President Joe Biden come out. Obviously, he's in St. Croix right now, but he halted his vacationing to make an address. He also made a statement before the address, and he made quite a moving, emotional statement, as he is wont to do, talking about how Jimmy Carter, obviously he'd known him and came out for, he was the first, I think, even elected government sort of on the Democrat side to come out for Jimmy Carter's campaign all those years ago. So I'd known him for 50 plus years and had talked about how kind Jimmy Carter was at the passing of his son Beau due to brain cancer too. So they obviously had a close personal relationship. And so he made that statement, and we've seen other ex-presidents too. Obviously, Bill Clinton, now the oldest living ex-president. We've seen Barack Obama. We've seen Donald Trump also make a statement, an uncontroversial statement at that, I might add. So we do see sort of the President's Club, as it were, coming together for this moment of celebrating a life well lived.
Just looking at his US foreign policy, we're hearing so much about what he did during his one term. A lot of his achievements, though, were carried on and completed by President Reagan.
This is the interesting thing, is that obviously Gerald Ford completed Nixon's term, as it were, obviously taking over after Nixon resigned after Watergate. And Ford was the first president to really sort of begin to move away from détente, move away from that friendliness that Nixon had built up with the USSR to cool the tensions of the Cold War and start to emphasize human rights. Jimmy Carter picks that up and takes it to a whole new level of really prioritizing human rights in foreign policy to varied success. But what it does is it really highlights the contradiction in American foreign policy at the time. This idea that America was supporting autocrats and dictators as long as they weren't communists at the height of the Cold War. Very controversial in places like Latin America, for example. So this push and that sort of deterioration that it led to with the relations between the US and Russia, it leads to Reagan and his emphasis, of course, his famous quote of calling Russia the evil empire in his first term, very heightened rhetoric. So obviously there are still massive debates among historians as to which president should truly get credit for ending the Cold War. They all contributed in their own various ways, but Carter was certainly saddled with multiple crises, both domestic and foreign, during his one term.
Professor Laura Allen-Smith, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.